Katwe is one of the biggest slums in Kampala, the capital city of Uganda. It's located in Makindye Division, 3 kilometers from Kampala Central Business District. The residential area of Katwe has been a slum since the 1970s, when rural-urban migration was at its peak. Due to the high costs of living and expensive transport in Kampala, yet 80% of Ugandans are youths below the poverty line and hand to mouth. Katwe has attracted many young men and women. Since it's a walkable distance from the business district and has cheap housing facility, despite their terrible conditions, many fast them for survival. Over 8 people from different walks of life, different genders, can rent one muddy structure and call it a home.
Osobola okujjanga muri batano
mpangise nyumba yange. Okay. Mulimu ebisenge bimeka kati? Gazi ya mugo pengine basobola okwogera. Yabula ebisenge n'okayoka kati mpango. Watu yagala okutema kutemeka kino n'okitegeeza. Kati basali abalwa
nyumba oba omwezi gwa mutwalo. Omwezi mutwalo kuba mutwalo naye kati emyezi giriwo giba gya mitwalo 18.
Kati mbeera normally nyumba z'amusika.
Nyumba mitwalo.
To see another morning, most of these people are street vendors, herbalists, casual laborers, prostitutes, scrap sellers, and petty thieves. And one of these is Atwine Nevius, commonly known as Mama Rita. Mama Rita collects and sells empty bottles for a living. This little income she gets is what she uses to raise her handicapped child in the wooden structure she rents with another male individual.
Amanya mtibwa Atwine Medias bayibanda family era wetu yawo twakola wetu tunga obumanyi byekyalo batuyiba twasoma twakola ki yawo Kino nali mu kyalo enamala okufuna obuzibu nga nzadde liita bw'atyo musajja nampa olubuto nange nali simanyi kyengendo zaala nenzaala omwana nga ali bw'atyo aliko obulemu n'agamba ye tazaala abalemu nenkola ki nange nenkubira sisita wange essimu n'agamba jangu oyiiye olabe oba okuza omwana wo nange nasindika transporta nenzija nentandika okuyiiya. Katwe Kinyolo gimazeemu emyaka ebiri mwembeera tusasulayo $7,000 tusulamu babiri nsula wansi obula zange nasula waggulu kale embeera enkalubizaamuko bita engeri gyalimu gyayavulira wansi enkuba etonnya kwegamba sirina nakyakwogera kati awo kubanga era nina okumugalira mu nnyumba emba ngenze yiiya sobola okumugalira omwo nemugaata okuluma era kimanyi buli omu ali bibye buli omu yeyiiya lulwe buli omu ali mu mbeera ze kale Katwe tugitambuliramu bwe tutyo batamiivu baki kwegamba ekitundu kyetulimu kyakuyiribya ebizibu byensanga mu kitundu kino kyembeeramu oyinza osanga kati awo enkuba etonnye ennyumba yiiyo eyiika mazzi ofuna byolembeka awo ebizibu tubeera mu batamiivu babeeramu abatamiivu bangi bayaaye banywa enjaayi ki kale tutubeera kamfate okugamba n'obwolekawo omwana wo obeera mu kweraliikirira ogamba oba ekinywi kyenyiwa n'aba nga anywedde enjaayi oli n'amugwako n'amuleepinga oba n'asanga ng'ali seefu kale njogenza okukolera n'olumu n'ojja ebimu nga tobimaze ku lw'omwana oyo gozesa ewaka ebizibu byensanze mu Katwe olwadde olina obulwadde bwo bungi emyala mingi ensiri zaalira omwo tulina bulamu buli awo tubuli seefu tuli seefu tutwaliza awamu nkola emirimu gy'enjawulo naye mu kukola kwange okwo kwonna mu kulonda bicupa kusala ffene kwoza ngoye nkola nga nina ekigendererwa kyange ngamba nenseevinga y'ebbiri oba ofunye $10,000 oba lukkiriza oluseevinga naye nga njagala nange mbeere wentuusaako omwana wange nsobole okusoma nange nsobole okufunako ka kapito kensobola okukola nembeerako wamu netutuulako wamu nensobola okumulabirira nga ali seefu.
Nze na Kafeero Laira naye nina ekibiina kyenkulira nga nze mukama waakyo era ekibiina kyaffe ekyo twagala bammemba nga bajjamu ne baseevinga mu kibiina ekyo naye nga buli memba ajja okuseevinga alina ekiruubirirwa era buli memba ayingira mu kibiina ekyo ajja n'awandiika mu kitabo n'atuwa ekiruubirirwa kye ne tukiwandiika mu kitabo tumanya kyekiruubirirwa kye era buli memba aba n'ekitabo kyetuwandiikamu ssente ze z'abaakola ki z'abaaseevinze okusinziira ku nfuna ye ne ku kiruubirirwa kye enkola ffe mu kibiina kyaffe era tuseevinga buli wiiki buli omu n'aleeta ssente z'asobola okuleeta okusinziira ku kiruubirirwa kye naki n'obusobozi bwe.
My name is Ian Mubiru. A Ugandan based in Kampala. I've worked with a number of serving groups in the past because my background is into digital financial services, and some of the things we've been trying to do, for the last couple of years is trying to help institutions digitize their financial products. But of course, in Uganda, everyone has a phone. So in most cases, you'll come across people that have these small feature phones, and then you try to help them, instead of them moving with their money, you try to help them save on the money and then go and bank that money. So most of our support has been going to women groups, like the one where we've seen the lady that has a crippled child. She belongs to Atego Women's Saving Group. And most of these women, what they will do is that they'll come together trying to save for a purpose. And most of them come from very poor backgrounds. And what we do is that we come in to help them, instead of them having to save that money and maybe keep it in their houses or maybe in a tin in their house, we'll advise them to save money and have it on a mobile phone, and then later we can actually connect them to a financial institution. But of course, the kind of savings they do are pretty small, and then later they can go and borrow from that savings group, and then they can invest into their business so the business is able to grow. Many of them are vending, instead of vending tomatoes, they're vending onions, they are selling jackfruit, on the streets of Kampala. Of course, I came to know Mama Rita through when I was working with Grameen Foundation. So Grameen Foundation, of course, is where also I met Omari. We worked together at Grameen Foundation. And one of our goals was to save, the mission was to get the poor out of poverty, especially the poorest women. So I came across Mama Rita during that time when Grameen Foundation was trying to digitize SACCOs. So what we are doing, and we are doing this through banks like Equity Bank, like Barclays Bank, where they will go out and look for different women groups, and of course women groups that had a target, that we actually came together to save for a specific target. But then when you look at the story of Mama Rita, she goes on collecting bottles. So she collects the bottles and then she takes them to a collection center, which now move those to a factory where they recycle the bottles. And then the money she gets from that, she'll now go and invest into buying fruits that she would later vend. So when I went, I was actually able to go through their books to see what exactly they were doing. And of course, many of them would take notes. Every time they meet, they'll list which members come, how much money have they contributed for the group, how much are they saving. And then later, that's what they aggregate, and then they keep giving to the fellow women now to go and invest into their businesses. So I met Omari when I was still at Grameen Foundation. So we worked together on the Community Knowledge Work Program, where we are going across the country, recruiting community-based people that have been selected by the community, and then would equip them with a mobile phone that they would use to disseminate information, but at the same time collect information that we would actually use to come up with products and that we now take back into these communities. So Omari and I worked together on this project with Community Knowledge Worker. So when Omari went back to the US, and I came across this lady after a while, and I came across Mama Rita, who was trying so much to help her daughter through collecting the bottles that now she would go and save the factory. I was very much touched by her story, and I said once again to reach out to Omari to see if there's any way, because of course now if you see, if you go where most of these women are sleeping, if you look at the kind of living conditions they have in the ghetto, they are very unbearable. So I decided to reach out to Omari to see if there's any way we would come in to help this group of women that are trying to support their children.
My name is Omari Williams. I'm the founding partner of DevQuest, which is a venture that started out of a project I did with the Grameen Foundation in 2012. We've just toured Katwe, which is behind us. I'm in Kampala, Uganda. And we've really been inspired. Our mission at DevQuest is slum eradication. And Katwe is going to be our first entry point with the Celestine Fund, which is our vehicle tasked with the mission of transforming slums into more livable, affordable housing. So far, the plot that you see behind us, the piece of land behind us, is for sale. So we'd like to come away with, from Kampala and from Uganda and Kenya, with a number of commitments to purchase land and to begin to develop it with local developers. The living situation, you can see from the pictures that it's challenging. The reason that I do this kind of work is because it's the kind of work that has real meaning. Right? There's a real, it's real life. There's real struggle. There's a real economic challenges. But at the same time, we spoke with a woman who was a part of a savings group, and her goal is to save money in order to buy a piece of land and to build a home there for her child. She has a second goal, which is also to raise money so that her child, who was born with a leg that needs surgery, in order to work properly, so that she can raise the proper funds. The child has had one surgery, looking for a second surgery. The first surgery was not entirely successful. We don't know what the quality of the surgery was, whether it was done well or not done well. But the bottom line is she's got a business selling jackfruit, and she's got a savings group. So she's got a plan, and her goal right now is to raise 10,000 Ugandan shillings in order to expand that business, in order to be able to save either 5,000 or 10,000 Ugandan shillings per month, and to improve her economic situation. This is a common story of people who are finding little day-by-day solutions to empower their lives economically. This is something I learned with the Grameen Foundation. It's the reason that microfinance and microcredit is extremely important, and it's also a part of our mission to inject capital into these funds in order to allow people to expand their businesses and to simply build on the solutions that are already taking place, to empower people who have already have plans and solutions and goals, and with a little bit of extra capital that could come from the West. It could come from those who have already made it within Uganda and Kenya. It could come from anywhere. But this kind of capital is empowering. It's important.
To have a better future, Mama Rita is saving in the local women's circle, since the future of Katwe as a residential area to the urban poor is not guaranteed in the near future. When you sit on the balcony of one of the 5-star hotels in Uganda, Mistil Hotel and Apartments, just below you is Katwe Chinyoro. ShopRite is constructing the biggest arena in Uganda, just a few meters from where Mama Rita lives in Zambia, a slum like Katwe Chinyoro used to sit. So, the residents of Katwe Chinyoro are just holding on, but they know their fate has already been made.